You know, I get emails a couple times a week. I see comments in the stories on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll have an article about doctors admitting the flu shot's paralyzing and killing people, and there'll be a comment in there. Alex Jones says that a European death cult is running things. No, Alex Jones doesn't say that. Whether it's German elites, British elites, elites in the U.S., elites out of Israel, whether it's elites out of Japan, elites out of Russia, I just do the hard research. I read books they've written. I study what they're into. David Rockefeller, Ted Turner, just you name them. All these people, Tony Blair, Barack Obama, the Bushes from Skull and Bones, all those people, Francois Mitterrand, the head of the French arts, writes books about how he loves slave trade and slave children he rapes, and then he doesn't get in trouble, and then they're defending Polanski. The point is that I came into all this as kind of a libertarian Ron Paul type guy, like a mainline Ron Paul person you'd see today. Now, that was seen as radical 14 years ago, but today it's not. But I'm still seen as a radical just because I've gone further down the rabbit hole. But I was in my hotel room watching History Channel Wednesday morning before the TV crew with Jesse Ventura came and picked me up. And I was watching a show about the Masons and watching a show about the Knights Templar. And they admitted Washington, D.C. is a big pentagram and a big square. And the Washington Monument is a phallus to energize power. And they had the Masons on there admitting it. I guess it's now time for all that to just come out. And I remember years ago, the 3 documentary films that we, by the way, sell discounted at Infowars.com, America's Beginnings, The New Atlantis, Secret Mysteries, and we sell all 3 of their new films. Well, one of them is very new, but they all go in order. I mean, these are incredibly high-quality films. But the point is that they are coming out now with a lot of this. And all I'm doing is going, well, Skull and Bones is a Germanic death cult, according to their own members that have leaked info. And one of their rituals has been videotaped. I snuck into Bohemian Grove. I videotaped a ritual where 1,000 old men were grinding their teeth and hyperventilating, watching the mock human sacrifice of a child. And like atheists are like, oh, Alex is crazy. He believes the devil's going to get us. Look, whether you believe in the devil or not, these people do, is the point. There are crazy people who believe in this stuff. Whether you believe in it or not, the crazies believe it and follow it's what I'm saying. And you look at Maurice Strong, the head of the UN Biological Diversity Forum, and when he had the big Davos, Switzerland meetings, and the meetings in 92 at the Rio de Janeiro UN Summit, he said we must destroy industrial society for Mother Nature and Gaia. And they're all into the occult. They're into a mystery religion. They're symbols of the pyramid and all these others and the all-seeing eye. I mean, this is real. These people run things. Look at every major world capital. It's obelisk and it's always the goddess over a war memorial for thousands of dead. That's the sacrifice to her. And this is in the literature, but I go to a city, I now know a lot of their language, and it's gang sign everywhere. And I'm not saying it's Masons. Masons are a low-level grid of all this. When you talk about Masons, or you talk about Catholics, or you talk about Protestants, or you talk about Jews, when you get to the top of it, I mean, look at the Supreme Court building in Israel. Giant pyramids, all-seeing eyes, Masonic stuff everywhere. It's all the same. And it isn't Masonic. Masonic is one branch or brotherhood of this system. That's not saying our founding fathers were bad. A lot of them, more than half, were Masons. But George Washington wrote about bad groups in control of Masonry. And it goes back to the mystery schools in Egypt and the sacred symbols. And to them, it's white magic and black magic. So George Washington was a Christian, but he was also into all of this. And so was Solomon. I'm not here judging these people. I believe Solomon was good. I believe George Washington was good. It's a very complex issue. The Mason down the street from you is not drinking blood out of goblets. But at the higher levels, you find out it's Lucifer, Albert Pike, and many other top Masons whose paintings hang in all their lodges. They state it is Lucifer they worship. And so we need to talk about this. We need to understand this. We need to know this. And the stuff Dan Brown puts out is purposefully distorted and twisted. It's disinfo to the world. So they're revealing their mystery religion, but still deceiving. And Chris Pinto, of course, put films out that a lot of the stuff that Dan Brown picked up on, but has distorted it. And so we've got Christian J. Pinto, who has, with David E. Bay, produced the award-winning documentary, Secret Mysteries of America's Beginnings, Volume 1. The New Atlantis was honored with the Screencraft Award for Best Documentary Feature at the New York Independent Film Festival in 2006. Also winning Best Historical Documentary at the Los Angeles International Film Festival. That's big. The Pinto Bay Company, antiquities research firm, has also released Volume 2, Riddles in Stone, The Secret Architecture of Washington, D.C., which has become the official selection of the upcoming New York, Los Angeles film festivals. And they've recently released a new film we're covering, The Phoenix, dealing with the dollar. We'll talk about that as well. Now, people will hear his occult interpretation from the experts, and they may have a different interpretation. That's because in true mystery schools, it's like Inuit or Eskimo art. You look at a totem pole from different angles, it's different animals. All their symbols have at least 3 meanings and 3 faces, sometimes as many as 12. And that goes into sacred geometry. But joining us is Chris Pinto. Chris, thank you for coming on. Eye of the Phoenix is the third film. We have a reduced price, by the way, at Infowars.com. If you want to get all 3 of the films together, you save a lot. But Eye of the Phoenix is the next one. And maybe we should pop one of the films in for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and play a few random areas, in the background while Chris is talking so people can see the quality of these films. I mean, it's just amazing. Chris Pinto, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Alex. It's great to be on the show again.
What did you think of that little 5-minute rant as I laid that out?
I thought it was great. I thought you're making some great points there. We deal with this all the time. People who are uninformed of what these societies are doing, they often think when you tell them about their symbolism and whatnot, they'll say, oh, well, I don't believe in all of that, as though it's not going to affect them. And one of the things I tell people is it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. The 6 million Jews who were killed in concentration camps during World War II, they may not have believed in Hitler's occultism, but they were definitely impacted by it. Their lives were changed dramatically because of what Hitler and the Nazis believed and what they were into. And they were totally into the mystery schools and occultism. And they were into the same kinds of practices that you expose out there in the Bohemian Grove in Northern California. And I had friends who have lived up there, that I knew when I lived out in California. And they talked about how there are sometimes protests outside the Bohemian Grove. And there are all kinds of things. People are concerned about it in that part of the world, but it never makes the mainstream news. Nobody ever talks about it. Of course, because you've got people like, George W. Bush and his dad going out there, and Newt Gingrich and others. And so nobody wants to, blow the whistle on these guys at a mainstream level. But they are deeply involved in, deep, dark occultism. Even the name Bohemian Grove is specifically a reference to things that in the Old Testament in the Bible, when God is reproving the children of Israel for going into the groves and so on and worshiping idols. And
well, the Grove is is also the occult name of a conclave of warlocks and witches. It's also the name of a great meeting of occultists in many of their histories. Take Helmut Schmidt, German Chancellor. He wrote a book, Men in Power, as a Political Retrospective, where he said we have our own groves where we do rituals, but my favorite place to do them is Bohemian Grove, where we set world policy for world government. This is written by him. This is a global network. And at the top of the German groups, Jewish groups, British groups, it doesn't matter. The Japanese are into this stuff. The Aztecs were into it is the same basic religion.
Yeah, it is. And as you said, it goes throughout all the major cultures of the world and a number of the minor cultures of the world. And that's what they're trying to draw upon. The whole concept of, the religious tolerance movement, where they're trying to say that all religions are one and the same. Really what they're doing is they're applying the ancient mystery principles. If you study, for example, Eliphas Levi, who we talk about in our films, probably the most influential occultist of the last 200 years, influenced Albert Pike, Madame Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley, Manly P. Hall, and then the whole Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Many Masons don't realize that Albert Pike incorporated, whole chapters of Levi's writings into his book Morals and Dogma.